Hi there, everyone. Today we are going to be recreating this zipper intro that I did the other day. I've been playing around with zippers a lot lately because I've been making some clothes and stuff, and I was making jeans and stuff, and I wanted them to be physically accurate, and so I decided to go ahead and make a zipper. And then I got into making zippers, and the project that I was working on, I was getting kind of wore out on. So I decided to do something just as a project for the YouTube channel and stuff like that by creating a new intro. This version right here is probably the 4th or 5th version that I've done. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. And this one's animation moves quite a bit slower. And I did that on purpose. And we'll go through all that here in just a little bit. Sorry guys, I didn't render this one out because of course rendering takes a while. So let's go ahead, and there's another thing. Let me go ahead and jump over to the browser real quick. And there's a couple things that you'll have to download for this. It doesn't seem like there's been too many tutorials that I haven't told you guys that probably have to download something. And that's only if you want to use the same materials that I'm using. Now, there's this pretty cool website called Blender, and the creator has made an add-on, and it's version 0.2.1-A. And he was worried about it not working in the 2.74 add-on, and I don't know how much development's going on this. He says, caution, this is an alpha version. But it does work. Now, I will tell you that it does crash Blender sometimes, so you need to make sure that before you add materials and stuff to save, and we'll go over that because this is the 3rd time of me recording this video, and each time it has crashed at least once, but it does work. And so like I said, just use this at your own risk and make sure you save before you use. I guess you could use that as a disclaimer. So use at your own risk. And the other 2 things is going to be the zipper pull tab, and these are free to download. And this leaf pull tab. And so I didn't want to model these because they take quite a bit of time, and I wanted to just go ahead and show you how to make it and get into the animation. So I was trying to make it as easy as possible. So these you can download and use. Zipper pull tab, license under Creative Commons. So share alike license. I'm not too sure what that means, but anyways, it's under Creative Commons. So let's go ahead and jump back here into Blender, and I'm gonna go ahead and save this, and I'm going to reload the startup file. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to press 1 on our number keypad, and then 5. Then I'm going to turn on my screencast keys. Move that over there. And then we are going to go ahead and press tab and go into edit mode. Then I'm going to scale this along the x-axis. X. Sorry about that. And we'll just scale that out a little bit. And then we are going to press 3 on our keyboard to go into the right ortho. And let's go ahead and press SY. And let's scale this guy out just a little bit. And then SY, let's scale it out a little bit more. About like that. So let's go ahead and scale it down in general. just like that. And let's go ahead and click here. Let's go from the top view, and let's go ahead and let's press Z and then go into wireframe. And then let's press E for extrude. Let's extrude this out a little bit. Let's press S and then Y, and let's scale this in some. And then let's press E to extrude again, and let's extrude this out a little bit. Then let's press E one more time and extrude it out, and press S. And then let's just go ahead and scale this in some, and then maybe bring this in. And let's go ahead and press A to deselect, and press B to box select, and let's select these vertices. Let's press S and then Y to scale it on the Y axis, and let's just kind of bring this out just a little bit. And let's press Z on our keyboard. Let's go back into solid mode. See how that's looking. Press A to select everything. And let's go ahead and move this along the x-axis, and let's drag this to where you see the pivot point in the center there. And let's press object mode, and that looks good to me. And that is we're going to call this, we come over to the item, we're going to call this, let's just call it zip. And let's go ahead and scale this down. So let's press S, and then let's scale this way down here, because we don't want super huge zippers. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the location and scale. So you do that by pressing Control A and hit apply location, Control A, and then rotation and scale. And I'm going to press Shift D, and then I'm going to left click to lock that selection in, and then I'm going to press M on my keyboard, and I'm going to move that to the very rightmost layer there, and just so we have a backup. And the next thing we're going to do, we're going to click on the zipper here, and we are going to go to our modifier tab, and we're going to add an array, and we are going to zero it out on the x-axis and press 1 on the y-axis. And let's just give it a little bit of space, and then let's go ahead and press Shift D, just like that. And then let's bring it over. Let's click Y on our keyboard to bring it over on the y-axis. And then let's press S for scale, and then X, and then -1 to go ahead and flip direction and mirror it. And then let's go ahead and just drag these in here. And let's kind of line these up some. And if you model this right, you can get them pretty close. That's too close. You don't want them interlapping. So that should be fine. And the next thing we're going to do, we're going to click on this other one, and we are going to bring the array in on the y-axis some. And that looks good. So we just did that so we could get the spacing right. Let's go ahead and click on this other one, press X, and then delete. And then let's click on this zip right here, and let's bring out, maybe 12 or so for right now. That'll be fine. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to press Shift A, and we are going to add a curve, Bezier curve. We're going to tab and go into edit mode. We are going to grab this point here, and we're going to press G for grab, and then Shift, and then Z to constrain it on every other axis besides the Z axis. So we could just keep this on the grid floor here. And let's just kind of drag this out a little bit, and let's kind of rotate it until it's straight. And then let's go ahead and grab this point here and press G and then Shift Z. And then let's pull it over here to the 3D cursor. And then let's go ahead and press A to select everything. So you might have to press A a couple times. And then let's press S, X, 0 to go ahead and straighten everything out. And then let's press S, Z, 0. S, Z, 0, sorry. And that just flattens everything on the grid floor like that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to press 7 to go into top view. And I'm just going to grab this point here, G, and then Shift Z to constrain it on every other axis besides the z-axis. And I'm just going to go ahead and drag this way out here just like this. And I'm going to press R and then 90 to turn that 90 degrees. And then we are going to click on this very end point of this curve here. And we are just going to drag it along the x-axis to get this bend here. That looks pretty good to me. So, and the next thing we are going to do, we're going to click on that point there, and we're going to press E to extrude along the y-axis. And let's press S. That looks fine. Let's just pull that out on the y-axis there just a little bit. Let's make sure that that point is there. Go ahead and press A, and then let's press W and let's subdivide that a little bit. Actually, let's Control Z that. Let's click on this point, and then let's press W and then subdivide. And that looks good to me. Let's go ahead and drag this out just a little bit more. Let's press Tab. Let's go into object mode. And let's press 7 to go to top view. And then let's come in here. And then let's go ahead and click on our array on our teeth here. And let's just go ahead and drag these guys out some. That should be fine for now. Yeah, that looks good. And the next thing we are going to go ahead and do is we are going to go ahead and click on this curve. And then click on this teeth. And then we're going to press Shift D. Left click to lock the selection in. And then we are going to press SX -1. And then let's go ahead and drag these into place here. And they should line up because we matched them up earlier. And to get more finer selection, just hold down Shift and drag until you line it up there. Actually, I did that backwards. Sorry. Let's go ahead and delete that. I do apologize. Let's go ahead and click on the teeth, and then let's add a curve modifier first. And then let's say Bezier curve. And then let's deform axes along the y-axis. And then you'll see it got flipped around here. So let's click on our curve and go into Tab. And let's press A to select everything. And let's press Control T to tilt everything. And we want to go ahead and do it by 90 degrees. And there we go. You'll see that everything's flat now and going the way we want. Let's tab out and go back into object mode. And let's go ahead and click on the teeth. Let's give it some more teeth here, just like that. And now let's go ahead and click on the curve and then the teeth. And then let's press Shift D, left click to lock it in. Let's press SX -1 to flip that. And then let's just kind of drag these down and drag these into place here. I'm going to press period on my num keypad to just zoom in on that object. And let's kind of line these guys up here. There we go. That looks okay to me. And let's go ahead and now we could click on the curve on both these. And if you can't drag them, just click up here and click on the curve and then shift click on the other curve, just like that. And now if we press G and then Y, you'll see that we get the zipper movement. So let's go ahead and pull this out all the way until it's out flat, just like that. And let's click on one of these curves and let's tab, go into edit mode. And let's go ahead and grab this point here actually this point, let's see. Let's go ahead and pull that in some. Let's go ahead and grab this, and then let's press E to extrude along the Y axis, and let's pull that out to its farthest point, just like that. And let's tab, let's go back into object mode. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use each of these object data. So if you click on the Bezier Tool Object Data tab, you'll see that these right here, you'll see different ones. And you'll see that this one's using Bezier Curve. So if we click on this one's using Bezier Curve 002. Now watch what happens. Take a look at this once I switch it over to the Bezier Curve. You'll see that it went out to the same length as that other one. And now they're using the same object data, and that is fine. So any changes that we either make here or here, they're going to carry over to the other one. So now if I press G and then Y, you'll see that you don't get none of that zip movement where it was moving up and down along the Y axis. It's a fluid movement now. So the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to kind of open this up just a little bit, just like that. And we are going to import the zipper clasp. So go ahead and let's go to File. And I'm going to save this first. And you'll see that this is the 4th version. And let's go ahead and click on a new layer. And let's go to File, Import. And it's going to be an STL file. And where do I save that? I saved it at my desktop. So I'm just going to click on the zipper STL and import it. And you'll see that it imports perfectly. Let's go ahead and press S to scale. And let's go ahead and scale this guy down, way down there. Let's click on another new layer. And let's go to File, Import, STL. And I'm just going to change the pool tab. So the leaf. And let's go ahead and import that. And I'm going to press S and scale that down, way down there. And I'm going to go ahead and click on the second layer now. And I'm going to tab, I'm going to make sure the object is selected. And I'm going to tab into edit mode. And I'm going to click on one of these vertices. And I'm going to press L to grab the linked vertices. Then I'm going to press P to separate the selection, just like that. I'm going to tab back out into object mode. And I'm going to click on this Pool tab here, and I'm going to press M, and I'm just going to move it to a different layer. Now I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to turn on the third layer where our leaf pool tab is. Now I'm going to press R, Z, and I'm just going to rotate that around till it looks right. And about right there works for me. And it's going to, actually I'll leave it that size. Now I'm going to tab into edit mode on this here, and I'm going to press 7, go into top view. I'm going to press A to deselect everything, and I'm going to press Z to go into wireframe mode. And I'm going to press B, and I'm going to select half of this here, and I'm going to turn on proportional editing. I'm going to do connected, and then I'm going to change this from smooth to sphere, and I'm going to press S and then Y, and I'm just going to widen this out just a tad bit, so we get it a little bit wider here in the middle. And then we could go ahead and also press G and then X and kind of pull that out if you want, and change the shape if you'd like. I don't want to do too many changes to it, and that looks good. So I'm going to select everything, and then I'm going to go into mesh and then faces, which is Control F. So if I go Control F, you'll see it right here. And I'm going to go tries to quads, just like that. And I'm going to press Control F again, and I'm going to go to beautify faces. And it just helps it look a little bit better. So press Z and go back into solid mode. Let's go ahead and grab this and move it into place. Control Z. Let's go ahead and press O twice to turn off the proportional editing. Let's move that up just like that. And let's see here. We're going to have to go back into top mode and press A and then Z. Go back into wireframe, press B. And then let's go ahead and go back around half of those there, and let's scale it along the x-axis just a tad bit, and then let's press Z and go back into solid mode. And there we go, that looks better. So let's tab back out into object mode, and we're going to make this smooth shading, so press Z. And then you could go to smooth shading. If you have the pie menus turned on in your user preferences, you got shade smooth there, but you could also find it over here under your tool options and press smooth, just like that. And you'll see that it looks really weird, like the normals are messed up. But we need to just come over here to the modifier tab and add a edge split modifier, and you'll see everything goes back to normal. And let's see, that looks good to me, so I'm just going to apply that modifier just like that. And I'm going to shift select this clasp here, and I'm going to press Control J to join them guys, and then I'm going to tab into edit mode, and I'm going to select one of these vertices on this tab, and I'm going to press L to grab that. Then I'm going to press 1 on my number keypad, and I'm going to press R for rotate, and I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees just like that. And then I'm just going to drag it into place here, just like that. And I'm going to press H to hide that real quick, and I'm going to press 7 to go in the top mode, Z, wireframe, and I'm going to press B to box select half this mesh, and then I'm going to press 1 again, and I'm going to press scale, and then Z to constrain it to the Z axis, and I'm going to turn on proportional editing, and I'm going to press S and then Z, and scale that down. Actually, I'm going to press A to select everything, and I'm going to press W, and I'm going to remove doubles, and it removed 1,400 vertices. And sometimes you'll see that, like when I was scaling that, I noticed there was a bunch of double vertices on there. So let's go ahead and press A to deselect, B to box select, just like that, 1 on our number keypad, and then let's press S and then Z. Just like that. And we just want to scale this in just a little bit. Press A to deselect. Let's press Alt H to unhide that. Let's press Z to go into solid mode. Let's press H to hide that again, and let's press Z, wireframe. Let's just go ahead and select all that, and let's press S and then Z. Then let's just scale that whole thing down. Just like that, and let's press A to deselect, and then Alt H to unhide, C to go back into solid. There we go. That looks way better now. So let's tab back into edit mode, and for some reason, let's go ahead and press Control I to select this. Let's press P to separate this by selection. Let's tab back into object mode. Let's click back on this. Let's add an edge split modifier again. And there we go. That looks a whole lot better. Let's apply it. Then let's press, hold down Shift and click on this other one. Let's press Control J. And there we go. Now we got everything lined up and looking good. So we could go ahead and Shift click this other layer to bring the pull tab in here, and we are going to press Control Alt C, and we are going to put the origin to geometry, and we're going to press R, Z, and we are going to rotate this by -90, just like that, and we're going to pull this in on our zipper here, and let's just go ahead and pull this in to where we think that it should be when it's going to open up. Let's press the period on our number keypad, and let's just bring this guy in here, and let's scale it along the x-axis just a tad bit, and scale it along the z-axis. And then I think it will be about right here. Right there. Just move this over a tiny bit. Scale along the X just a tad bit. And there we go. That looks good to me. So now we got our pull tab in there. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and click on this curve here. And let's go ahead and go to our curve properties and let's turn the resolution up to, let's say, 25. And that'll just make a smoother curve. And let's go ahead and shift click this other curve. Actually, I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and press Shift A, and then let's add a empty. A plain axis will be fine. Let's move it up along the Z, and then let's pull it over here by our pull tab. Let's press S, and let's just go ahead and scale it up, just like that. Now let's press this curve, hold down Shift, press that curve, hold down Shift, and select the pull tab, and select the empty last, and we're going to press Control P, and we are going to parent all these objects together, and we're going to keep the transform, just like that. And now you'll see that all these are linked to this empty here. And the reason why we did that is because we don't want to have to animate by selecting all these curves and this pull tab and stuff. And when we animate, we'll just animate with this empty. And so now if I press this or grab this and move it along the y-axis, you'll see that it works perfectly. Just like that. And so the next thing that we want to do is you want to, let's see, make sure that we have enough teeth on that. So we'll go ahead and we'll give it 110, and we'll click on this one and we'll type in 110, just like that. And we are going to link the object data to both of these two. So let's come over here to the object data tab, and you'll see that this one is using cube. Let's go ahead and click on these teeth over here, and let's make them use cube also. So anything that we do to these teeth, they're going to carry over just like on the curves here. So I'm going to tab into edit mode on these teeth over here. And I'm going to go ahead and press Shift A, and I'm going to add a plane. And I'm going to press S for scale. Actually, I'm going to press undo that. I'm going to press O on my keyboard twice, turn off proportional editing. And now I'm going to press S to scale this down. And I'm going to just scale this way in here. And then we're just going to pull this into place. And the placement of this is totally up to you. You could have them super close like that, but I kind of leave it about in the middle there. And you're probably wondering how we're going to link these together. We're going to tab back out into object mode, and we are going to click on our array, and we're going to make this to 1. And then we're going to click on merge to merge those vertices. And I'm going to press tab, go back into edit mode, and I'm going to click on these two vertices here, and I'm just going to drag them out. Just like that. Press tab, go into object mode. And you'll see that they both carried over, but now we need to go ahead and come over here and change the array on this side. So we're going to press 1 and then merge vertices just like that. Now if we grab this empty, you'll see that it works pretty good. And the next thing that we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to tab into edit mode on this one. And I'm going to pull this out a little bit more, but this time I'm going to click on this link and this one so we can see the vertices. And you'll notice that we have a lot of overlapping here, and we don't want that because it's messed up UVs when we go to do material and stuff like that. And to fix that, we're going to go into one of these curves, and we're going to press 7 to go in the top view, and we are going to press tab to go into edit mode. And I'm just going to grab this curve, and I'm going to press G and then Shift Z, and I'm just going to pull this curve out wider so it has more of a bending curve to it. And then I'm just going to grab this end And I'm going to, got to be careful with that. Pull that in there. Go ahead and G, Shift, Z. And let's make sure that we don't make this curve too sharp. So about that, looks okay to me. And let's go ahead and tab and go back into object mode. And now let's go into edit mode on that. And now you'll see that the UVs look a whole lot better. And we can pull these out some more. So we'll tab back in object mode. That's as big as we'll need this though. Let's go ahead and click on this and bring this in some, just like that. Let's make sure that it's starting to move all the way again. So let's go ahead and pull this until it's flat, and then let's click on one of these curves, press tab, go into edit mode, and let's go ahead and grab one of these end. So see that? I'm going to press shift or control on my spacebar. I'm going to turn off the manipulator, and I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to press E and then Y, and then I'm just going to pull that out further. Tab back into object mode. Now when we grab the empty and press G and then Y, now you don't see no movement anymore. And that's exactly what we want. So G and then Y, and I'm going to, I don't know, open this just a tad bit. Just like that. And the next thing we are going to do, we are going to work on the materials real quick. So make sure that you have your array and everything how you want them. Because we are going to go ahead and apply them now. So I'm going to click on this one, and the first thing we need to do is come back over to the object data tab, and we need to click on this number to make this a single user, because they are still linked, and we don't want them linked because we can't apply the modifiers correctly if they are still linked. So we just make it a single user and apply the array modifier, then click back over here and apply the array modifier here. And that works, and we applied everything. So we can just go ahead and click on this one if we want. Press 7 to go into top view. Press tab, go into edit mode, and press A to select everything, and then we could make this go along the curve just like that by clicking these two on here, and that looks pretty good to me. So we're going to do UV unwrapping now. So I'm going to open a new window by just pulling on this corner tab here. And I'm going to grab this corner tab, and I'm going to pull up. And I'm going to switch this to the UV image editor. And I'm going to switch this to the node editor. And then we are going to switch over to cycles render. And we're going to click on this material here. And we're going to click on use nodes. And we're going to press Shift A. And we're going to add a texture, an image texture. And then Shift A, we're going to do vector mapping so we can map that texture. And then Shift A, we need to put the input, which is a texture coordinates. And we're going to do UV, plug that into the vector, then the vector to the texture image, and then the color to the diffuse color, just like that. And down here, we're going to open an image. And let's see here. I got a few images here, so we are going to, I don't know, we'll make this one the bluish green, just like that. And so make sure you're in top ortho here, and then let's press U and then project from view, just like that. And let's go ahead and add another material, and we're going to click on new, and we're going to call this zipper, just like that. And let's come over here and let's click on one of these vertices and press L to just grab this length, and let's click on this top material here, and let's click assign to that one, and then let's add the image texture in there. Make sure we click assign. Then let's press Control I to invert the selection onto this zipper material here, and let's click on the zipper material and click assign, and we're going to just make that a dark gray, and then go into the settings, and just drag and drop this color into the viewport color here and make sure it's assigned. And then we are going to, actually, we're going to control, oh, okay, that's fine. I was just making sure I thought one of those vertices were selected. And then we're going to press Control I to invert. And we are going to press Z and go into material mode. And we are going to press G right here and grab this material. And we are going to scale it up. And then we are going to rotate it. Let's say at a negative 45-degree angle. Just like that. And let's scale it up some more. Just like that. And let's go ahead and tab back into object mode, and let's make sure, what is this one over here? Let's click on, it's cube still, so let's click on this one, and let's make this, actually, I'm sorry, let's Control Z that. Let's make this one cube 005, just like that. So the UVs carry over, and we only have to UV unwrap one side. So tab back into edit mode on that. And let's make sure that we are clicked on our zipper material here. And I'm going to hold down Shift and just click and run through those. And I'm going to change the size of this to, let's say, 25, and let's see how that looks. And that could work. I think I like that. That actually does look pretty good. So the next thing we are going to do to this material is we are going to zoom out a little bit here, and we're going to click on the input, then hold Shift and click on these other two nodes and press Shift D to duplicate them. And then I'm going to open another image, and this one is going to be a bump image. And some of you might think, well, this bump don't match with this, but I just wanted to give it a little bit of texture instead of looking flat like that, like a piece of paper. So we're going to press Shift A, and then we're going to go to Vector and then Bump, and we're going to click the color into the height, and we're going to change this from color to non-color data, and we are just going to plug this into the diffuse, just like that. And let's go ahead and set our camera up now. So let's tab back out of object mode. Let's press 7 on our number keypad. Let's grab our light, and let's press G, and then let's just grab it and pull it over this way, and let's make this a sun. And let's give it a strength of, let's say, 3.5 for now. Let's press R for rotate to rotate in the direction we want. Press 3, press rotate, press 1, rotate, press 7. And let's rotate this into the direction we want it in. And now the next thing we want to do is we want to press Control-Alt-0 to lock our camera into our view that we're looking at. And let's lock the camera to the view. And let's just zoom in so we can see that texture. I'm going to go ahead and click over here. I'm going to change this from CPU to my GPU. And I'm going to click on Border Rendering. And I'm going to press Z. Actually, I'm going to click on this and press Z. Go into rendered mode. And you'll see that we got this little texture. And we are going to change the size of that texture though. So I'm going to hold down Shift and just run through these. And maybe let's change it to 50. And I like that better because it makes them a lot smaller and makes it look a lot better. So I'm going to zoom out here. And so now you can see that you got some texture to this. And I'm going to click on this camera here, and that looks all right. Let's just go ahead and leave it like that for now. That looks good just so we can see the texture. So I'm going to go ahead and go back into material mode here. And then I'm going to tap 1 on my number keypad just to come out of that camera. And we are going to click back on this material. And the next thing we are going to do is we're going to click on the zipper material. And now this is where you want to save your project. So Control S to save. save your project, because this is where we are going to use this Blender Mata material. And I really like this because the materials are all free, and they're released under the Creative Commons license, and you could use them in whichever way you like. And they make things a whole lot simpler to use. And I've added a couple textures, but I don't know where the guy that runs the website is at, because they've been just sitting there pending. Anyways, so, but hopefully he will let those go through here soon. So let's press Control S to save one more time, and all we want to do is click on Update. And now you'll see that it brung in all the materials from his website, and which is really cool, because now all we have to do is come over here and click on metals, and you'll see that there's a list of metals. And for our zipper, I want to turn it to gold. So the thing that I figured out with this add-on is you want to already have a texture created and selected over here. And then you want to come down here and click on the texture that you want to use. So we're going to use gold, and I'm just going to click on import. And now you'll see a material was imported successfully. And now you'll see that it changed the material that we had there already into gold. So now if we press 0 and go back into our number keypad, press Z, go into rendered mode, you'll see that we got a pretty nice gold texture on our zipper now. So I'm going to press Z and go back into material mode, and I'm going to press 1 on my number keypad, and then we are going to go ahead and press Shift S, make sure the cursor is to the center, and I'm going to press Shift A. I'm going to add a plane. I'm going to grab it along the Z axis. On the Z, let's pull it down just a little bit more, and I'm going to press S for scale, and I'm just going to scale this guy up bigger than our scene, just like that. And I'm going to give this a new material, and we'll just call it floor, just like that. And I'm going to make this a completely black color. Put on viewport color, make that black also. And that's just because we don't want to see nothingness down there. And plus I want to use an HDRI image for some lighting. So let's see. So we got that. Now the next thing that we are going to do, we're going to press Control S to save. We are going to click on our little pool tab there, and we're going to add a new texture. And we're going to come back down here to Blender Mata, and we're going to stay in the metals, but this time I want the steampunk copper. And I'm just going to scroll down here and click on import. And press Control S, make sure we save that. And now you'll see, look at this node mess up in here. See, we could achieve that effect by ourselves, but then we would need to come in here and do all this stuff. And it's just a quick setup. And you could come in here and you can tweak anything that you'd like to make it to your liking. So this add-on, I'm really happy for this. They've tried in the past to do material add-ons, and they've always failed. The big failing point is because the developers couldn't get no support and stuff, but I'm hoping that this one will work out, because this one seems to work pretty good. So I'm going to press Z and then go into rendered mode, and you'll see that we got a nice texture going on there. I'm just going to zoom out some, and I'm going to press Z, go into solid mode, press Control S to save. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to click on the World tab, and we're going to click on Use Nodes. Then I'm going to come to this color, and I'm going to click on this little dot here, and I'm going to click on Environment Texture. And I'm going to open up an HDRI image. And I want that image to be an inside image. So hopefully I could find... Actually, we are going to... because I want it to be an inside image. And where's that one at? It's a tunnel. Yeah, it's too dark. I want it to be an inside image. That way we get some of the reflections and stuff off of the HDRI. Let's see. There was one. Is it Tokyo Big Sight? Maybe. Yes, this is the one. So I'm going to just use a 3K HDR image, and I think I remember where I got this HDRI image. So all the links will be down below in the description. And so the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to click on the world node here, and that way we can get to the nodes here. So I'm going to press Shift A, and I'm going to add vector mapping, and then I'm going to press Shift A and add an input texture coordinate, and then I'm going to, instead of UV, we're going to do generated, because we want it to be generated, not UV, because we can't unwrap the world. And then I'm just going to hold down Shift and run through these, and I'm going to scale this up by 2. And let's go ahead and press Z and go into render mode, and let's see how that looks now. And it looks super noisy. So let's go to settings, and let's click on multiple importance, and let's change this to 512 for the mapping. And let's go ahead and come back over here, and let's go to our sampling. This is under our render tab, by the way, and let me hold down Control and zoom this up some so you guys can see that. And we're going to go to the clamp indirect, and I'm going to clamp this by 5, and I'll do the clamp direct 2. I'm just going to clamp this down and a little bit, because we are getting a lot of fireflies in there, and I don't want to clamp it too much because it darkens the image by quite a bit. I could raise the strength up to, let's say, 1.5 or 2. And let's zoom in here on these metals. And you can see that we're getting a lot of reflections and a lot of light hitting this. And we might change this setting later. I'm actually going to drop the strength down to 1.5, and we'll leave it like that. We'll come to the world tab, and yeah, 512 is fine. And just be careful with this resolution down here. The higher you go, the longer your render times are going to be. So just be careful. We can change this to mirror ball and see if that helps. And let's see here. And that helped a little bit. Let's turn the strength back up to 2. I'm just going to leave it on equi-rectangular for now. Yeah, we'll just leave that on there for now. Let's click back on our that little box down there to go back to our regular materials. And now we're going to press Control S to save, go back to Z material, just like that. And the next thing we are going to do is we are going to select here, and go ahead and press G and then Y. Let's drag that up some to get it kind of lined up there. Let's press Shift S, and let's go cursor to selected. Let's press Shift A, and then let's add a text. And let's go ahead and press the period key to zoom in on that. And let's go ahead and come over to our text tab, and let's extrude this some. Pull that out there. I want it in the floor a little bit, so it being in the floor like that is fine. Let's tab into edit mode, and let's go ahead and change the text. I'm just going to use my YouTube name, and I'm going to give it a little bit of depth, and then I'm going to bump the resolution up to like 4. Then I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to center it under the paragraph tab, and then I'm going to change the font. So we're going to click on the font tab, and I'm going to use my favorite font, which is the Gotham Ultra. Well, it's my favorite font at the moment. I'm using it on everything, and I just think it's a super, super nice font. So we are going to go ahead and press 0 and look in our camera, and we're going to press Z, go into wireframe, and I'm going to press G, then Y, and I'm going to move that text up to about there, and maybe scale it up just a tad bit, just like that. And we're going to move our camera into place, press Z, go on the solid, and now, or Z, let's go back to material. And now, we are going to start animating. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab this. I'm going to press Control Shift to turn my manipulator back on. And I'm going to grab this until it's almost closed. And I'm going to press on the camera here. And I'm going to come over to the camera settings. And I'm going to make the focal length to 40. Just like that. I'm going to press N on my properties. And I'm going to press 0 on the Z and 0 on the X. I want to 0 all this out here. And I'm going to pull this on the location. I'm going to pull this up some. And on the Y, I'm going to move that in there properly. And I'm just doing this so we can get proper portions. I'm going to press 3 on my number keypad. And I want to see how far up my camera is. And we can press S to scale that camera to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to pull it up though. Some more. Now press 0. And I'm going to click on my camera. And I'm going to come over here to clipping. And I'm just going to say something like 500. And then that way we can see everything in the viewport again. And I think right there is going to be fine for now. So what we want to do is we want to click on our empty. So come up here and make sure your empty is selected. And we want our timeline down here. And we are going to make this, let's do it 100 and let's say 196 frames. And on frame 1, we want to just go ahead and click I. And we're going to do, I like doing the location, rotation, scale. But you can do just location because we're not going to rotate it or nothing. But I'm just going to do location, rotation, scale right there at 1. And I'm going to bring this over to, let's say, about 120. And I'm going to press G and then Y. And I'm going to pull that back there to about, I don't know, about there. And I'm going to press I and then location, rotation, keyframe again. And so we got to that animation. I'm going to go back to frame 1. And I'm going to click on my camera right here. And I'm going to press I for, and then do location, rotation, scale. And then I'm going to move it. Actually, I'm going to Control Z that. And I'm going to move it. I'm going to do probably about frame, let's say frame 125. And now I'm going to move it all the way down, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. So we get into that text there. And then I'm going to move it in on the text just like that and zoom it in just a tad bit more, line that text up in the middle there, and I'm going to press I and then location, rotation, scale, and then we're going to press Control Shift and the down arrow to just bring it back to keyframe 1, and then we're going to press Alt A and let's look at that. And some of you might think, well, why are we doing so many keyframes? That's because we are going to add a few more of the zips. And so we're going to press Alt A to stop that animation, Control Shift, down arrow to go back to frame number 1. And then we are going to press 7 to go in the top view. And the next thing we are going to do is we are going to just go ahead and select our empty and select all this stuff and our curves. Here, there's one, there's the other, just like that. So make sure everything's selected. we're going to press Control G to group this, and we're just going to zipper underscore full. And let's go ahead and press Shift D and then Z automatically after that to constrain it along the Z axis. And let's just go ahead and pull this up a tiny bit. Let's press 0 to look through our camera. Let's press R and then Z. And let's just kind of rotate this some. Like that will be fine. And then we're going to change this over to the graph editor. And then we are going to change this. Actually, we're going to leave this for right now because I'm going to click on this one right here. And I'm going to come back over here to our material. And I'm going to click on the 5 to free the user up. And I'm going to click on this gold one to do that also. But, and then I'm going to let's turn this to the node editor real quick. And then I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to open a different image. So let's do the pink one. Just like that. And it's mapped all good and stuff. Now let's go ahead and click back on our empty here. And let's go ahead and press A couple times, make sure everything's selected. Let's press X and delete the keyframes. And from here, let's just go ahead and press I, location rotation. And then let's press G and then Y. And we want to press Y twice to constrain it to its local axes. So we can pull it out and have it doing something like that. So let's go ahead and move this to frame, let's say frame 60, and let's press G and then Y twice. And let's pull this out all the way until it passes our camera there. It's about right there. And let's press, actually let's press I and location rotation. Let's press Alt A. Come through there, it stops on our text. Keeps on going. Comes through. Alrighty, Alt A. Let's press Control Shift down arrow to change the selection. Let's go to 7 top mode, and let's go ahead and click on one of these. Let's press Shift G and let's grab the group. Alright, so it's going to be difficult again. Let's go ahead and just select everything. And let's change this. No, I don't want to extend it. Control Z that. Let's make sure we got the empty selected. So boom, 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 boom. Just like that. And let's go ahead and press. We could come up here also and we can go to groups. And you'll see that you got the zipper full. And we can press Shift G here and actually Control G. And let's make another group. Full underscore 01. Just like that. And we can click. Make sure we're clicked on this group. Yeah, there we go. And you could also press Shift D in there. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and press Shift D and then Z. And we're going to pull this guy up. Press 0 on my number keypad. Oops. And let's press R. Z. Let's see. That one's going that way. We're going to make this one go that way. Just like that. And I'm going to click on this one and I'm going to change the material. Cancel. Let's make this free user. Free both these users. And let's go ahead and change this to this kind of beige purple one. And I'll give you guys these textures. Matter of fact, this is on Blend Swap. So I'm going to give you the link to Blend Swap for this. And then we are going to go ahead and click on our empty. Press A couple times in our graph editor and press X and delete the keyframes. And we're going to press G and then YY twice. And yeah, we'll leave it there. Let's press I, location rotation. And then let's make this, I don't know, let's say about frame 50. And let's press G, Y, Y. And let's just kind of, oops. G, Y, Y. Let's just kind of, we're going to open this until you can't see it. And then we're going to press I, location rotation, Control Shift down arrow, Alt A. Just like that. And at the end here, I wanted a few extra frames so it could focus on the text for a minute. But this one, it might be a little bit too long, so we might shorten this a little bit. Maybe, maybe not, because we're going to move some of these keyframes around too. So we're going to press Alt A and Control Shift down arrow to go back. And now we're going to just press 1 and get out of that. Now I'm going to press Control S to save. And now I'm going to click on this plane here and I'm going to tab into edit mode real quick. I'm going to press U and I'm just going to unwrap it. Press tab, out of object mode. We got the floor here. I'm going to press Shift A and we're going to do a texture, image texture, Shift A, vector mapping. And then a Shift A input texture coordinate. We're going to do UV, vector, vector, and then plug the color into the color. We're going to open an image, and I got this kind of darkish gray with a lighter gray on there, just like that. And I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to hold down Shift and go through all these and maybe scale it up 4. No, that's too much. 2, 3. Just like that. Let's go back into our camera, Alt A. Let's look and see how that looks. Alt A. Let's maybe 4 is better. Or maybe higher. Let's go to 6 maybe. Okay, higher, 12. Yeah, that looks good to me. So, Alt A. All right, Alt A. Let's click on this text and let's give this text a material. We're just going to add a mix shader, then add a diffuse, then add a glossy. Where's glossy at? Just like that. The factor, the mix factor, we want 0.15. And then for the roughness, 0.02. Just like that. And Alt A. I see a little bit of a problem with our animation. Let's press Alt A, but we're going to fix that. So let's press Control Shift and let's go back and let's change this into our dope sheet. Just like that. We can zoom these out just a little bit using my mouse wheel. And we're going to go to the very first empty and we're going to click on it. And I'm just going to grab them. And let's see. I'm going to pull them out some to maybe a frame 150 and then empty 001. I'm going to grab and I'm going to move them out to maybe frame 110. Let's try that. Let's go Alt A. There we go. That's a lot better. It's a lot better. Alt A. Shift back. Let's go to the empty, the very first empty again. And I'm just going to grab these and I'm going to pull it out to almost the end. Let's press Alt A. Yeah, I like that. Alt A. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to press Shift Backspace, and we're going to click on this empty and press A to select everything. We're going to press T, make it linear, and then we're going to go back and let's go to the whole scene. Then we're going to go to empty 001. We're going to press A in our graph editor, and then we're going to press T, linear. Then we're going to press on our regular empty. We're going to press A, make sure everything's selected, press T, and go to linear. Then let's press Alt A. Press Alt A, press Shift Backspace. Let's click on our camera also. Let's press A to select everything. Let's press T, and let's go to linear on the camera too. Alt A. Everything's got a more fluid movement. Alrighty, let's press Z and let's go into rendered. See how that looks. Awfully noisy. We might have to clamp down a little bit more. Let's go back into, let's go material. And let's see here. Let's check that out on rendered. Come back. I'm just scrubbing backwards through these keyframes. Oh yeah, that's starting to look good there. And I like that, but I am going to clamp this down some more. I'm going to clamp this down 3 and 3, just like that, because all them fireflies, and that'll just help get them out of there when you render, so you don't have to render it so high of samples. We might even have to go back down to 1. You don't want to go too low though. That's looking a whole lot better already. So that is it pretty much in a nutshell. And like I said, I have this on Blend Swap. I'll leave the link to everything below in the description. Control Shift down arrow to come back. I'm not going to render this out because it takes a while because it's an animation. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I asked and only a few people answered and said that they'd like to have a tutorial on this. So I'm just going to go ahead and make it. I do apologize for it being kind of long, but I just wanted to get all this stuff done and show you guys how to do it. So please like and subscribe, comment, and have a great day. Thank you.